Starting the recording. Hi, everyone. This is the SEBA call for Tuesday, November 13th, 2018. The only thing we have on the agenda today is a discussion of the Turk Telecom workflow in SEBA. I think is Bora leading this or
Mesut.
Hi, Zach.
Okay.
Hi, Zach. This is Mesut from SEBA.
So, yeah, Mesut will lead the call.
Okay. Do you have anything to present? Do you need presentation rights?
Yes, Zach, please give me the presentation, right?
Okay. Okay, I've made you presenter, Masood.
Thank you, Zach. I suppose you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Hello, everyone. Again, this is Mesut from NetSea team. First of all, thank you to all community for this opportunity. Actually, we prepared the workflows of Turk Telecom in SEBA, together working with the Turk Telecom team, Cemil and Serhat, also from TT side, guide us to prepare this document. And of course, we took the AT&T workflow as a base for us. And we simply just defined the deviations of the Turk Telecom flows from the AT&T workflow. I suppose you already know the AT&T workflow, and that's why I won't go through all of the details of this workflow. Just simply I explain the deviations. Let's start from the architecture. As you can see, as a first step, I mean, for the live trial of Turk Telecom, we will continue with the external BNG. And of course, this is not the latest architectural decision. For Turk Telecom, we assume that we will have the BNG functionalities inside the pod. I mean, in the aggregation switch or in the OLT side. But for a field trial, we will continue with the external BNG. And the major thing is here, I mean, Turk Telecom provides 4 different services for the VoIP, IPTV, high-speed internet, and the management. And all of these services uses different T-codes. In this case, we need multiple T-code support here. And each service for the VoIP and IPTV, there is different DHCP service serving for these services. If you go through, actually, we will stick with the abstract OLT representation provided by the AT&T. It's completely applicable to the Turk Telecom workflows. And the minor differentiation is here that we won't use the VLAN 4093. I mean, we propose that it should be configurable as a management VLAN. I can say from this side. And yes, major deviations. Actually, you know, Turk Telecom uses the PPP over Ethernet authentication for the HSI service. And this discovery should be enabled immediately since residential gateway should receive management IP address at the first step to interact with the OSS systems to receive user details related to the PPP over Ethernet authentication. VoIP IPTV. It uses the TR69 protocol to receive these configurations from the ACS systems. As I said, BNG or some of the BNG functions can be located at compute node or aggregation switch as a virtual BNG. Actually, we assume that PPP control plane messages forwarded through the BNG at the aggregation switch, and PPP flow management is done at on-host level. I mean, this is the open design issue, how we will be decide and design this workflow for the PPP over Ethernet.
So, Masood?
Yes?
Yes, I have a question about the PPPoE control plane messages and the authentication that you do with it.
Yes.
What are the PPPoE endpoints?
The
One is probably the RG, but what's the other side?
BNG.
Okay, so if it's the BNG, and forwarding through the AG switch happens on the basis of the CNS VLAN tags, then why is there a need for PPPoE flow management to be done at the ONOS level? I mean, the flow management is done on the basis of the VLANs, and that should be good enough, right, for all traffic going to the BNG.
Yes. Actually, the first message of the PPP protocol is the broadcast message. Actually, we have to decide if this message end up in the leaf switch. Leaf switch should decide which port I will use for the broadcast messaging. And that's why we thought that we have to configure a port which is the BNG is connected, let's say, and we should send this first broadcast message through this port.
Is this the same thing we do with DHCP?
Yeah, so the first message of a DHCP process is also a broadcast message. But in the SEBA part, we know exactly where the DHCP server is, which is behind the BNG, so we just have to reach the BNG. And that would hold true for the PPPoE PADI message, which is also a broadcast message, right?
Yes.
But we actually know which BNG we are trying to reach. If there were multiple BNGs and one of them had to decide to respond to the PADI request, then I can assume that, okay, that broadcast message has to reach multiple BNGs and then one of them decides to respond. But in this particular case, in the SEBA part, we know where the BNG is, and we just need to then forward the double VLAN tags to that BNG. So I don't see why, with the BNG being external to the SEBA part, I don't see why we need to do any PPPoE flow management. Am I making sense?
Yes. Just I'm thinking. Actually, I can not argue now with you for this subject. Just I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be similar with the DHCP approach, of course.
Can you hear us?
Yes, Cemil, we
Yes,
can hear you.
This is Cemil from Türk Telekom. Hi, by the way, to everyone. I believe the problem was with the PPP was on the OFDPA. OFDPA wasn't allowing the broadcast messages there. That's what I know, actually. It should be, but it didn't when we tried it.
Well,
so that's why.
Okay. Please finish. Yeah, please finish.
Yeah. So I think that was why we did that workaround.
Right. So
for the EF messages, I believe you are using ETH type defined already, but for the PPP, we didn't have any predefined ETH types. Maybe that could be another reason.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last part. Predefined what?
ETH type.
Yeah, the ETH type with I don't know with the EAP message. Do you know, Mesut, what was the coding of that message?
Yeah, this is Chip. I think there's on the pad I and pad O, there's separate ether types available for those messages for PPOE.
Yes, there's two different ether type messages. I mean, 8863 and 8864 for the session and the control plane messages.
Yes, that's right. So 8863 is for the discovery part, and then the session part is 8864. However, that's only if you're trying to. So it depends on how you try to use OFTPA, right? There's many different choices, and the choice that we have currently made in SEBA is that we forward only on the basis of VLANs, not on ether type. So when you do it on the basis of VLANs, every ether type inside that VLAN gets forwarded the same way, irrespective of whether what that ether type is or whether it's a broadcast or a unicast message. Think of it just like a VLAN cross connect across the aggregation switch. VLAN comes in, VLAN goes out. That's it. Everything in that VLAN gets forwarded.
But Saurav, as I know, we are now, I mean, untagged the VLANs before reaching the external BNG. I mean, for the AT&T workflow, right?
No.
No, it's all tagged, reaching the external BNG. Even the DHCPs are tagged.
Okay, but for the DHCP, if I mean if the ONOS relay application received the broadcast message, then it converts to unicast message, right? Or it just bypassed as a broadcast?
No, it still goes out as a broadcast. The DHCP discover message reaches ONOS, and ONOS forwards it to the BNG still as a broadcast.
Okay.
But with the VLAN tags for that particular subscriber.
Yeah, but my question is, so for the DHCP, right, we have a reason to go to ONOS because we have a relay application and we have the option 82 and so on. Do we have a similar need for BNG, or we can go directly through the data plane?
You mean for PPPoE?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can go directly through the data plane.
And we can still insert a flow mode that just forwards the broadcast through just one port.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, the VLAN cross connect essentially does that. Okay, but let's move on. We can revisit this
yes
implementation. Yeah, go ahead. Thanks.
But one question I have is the PPP authentication via TR69 protocol.
Yeah, no, it's just a configuration protocol. Yeah, receives the authentication related informations from the configuration server.
Okay.
TR69 is used in our networks, but it's just for management of the residential gateways, not the PPPoE side.
Right. Okay. So okay, keep going. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Each service has its authentication mechanism, which applies after the IP address management. I mean, IPTV and VoIP services. VLAN translation should be supported on ONT side. ONU, UNI and NNI ports should be configured administratively to change their states, and operational state of the ports should be observed. Some of them maybe, I mean, this is quite old, not new. Maybe some of them are developed in the new SEBA releases. Just correct me if we have these features. Actually, FCAP's requirements provided by AT&T is applicable for TT, except, I mean, for the PPP protocol, we need extended alarm and metrics related to these protocols. For the flows, OLT and ONU bring up flow will remain as they are, but other flows will be affected regarding to TT workflow. In Türk Telekom residential gateway authentication is not used because of the multi-tenancy. It's not, I mean, it's rare. Sometimes multiple subscribers can be served from a single ONT device. And
So, Masood,
yes,
I have a few more feedback for these last few points that you covered. So when you said that each service has its authentication mechanism, it applies after the IP address management. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
right there, right, yeah. So does each service like HSI or the others, do they have separate IP management addresses, or is it all via the same IP address?
they have separate IP addresses.
So the RG actually has multiple IP addresses assigned to it, one for each service?
Yes.
Okay. At the RG, okay. And then the next point where you said VLAN translation should be supported on the ONT. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Okay. The different boxes like IPTV box and the VoIP boxes has their own VLAN addresses. I mean VLAN tags, and when any packet comes from these boxes to the residential gateway, from the ONT should change this VLAN tag to the C tag that will be used to identify the customers.
So actually, this is for, let me just chime in. So this is for standardization of the RGs on fields. So we are using same VLANs for same services on fields. If let's say you have an HSI service and you are just getting an residential gateway from us, it's always the same. It comes with predefined VLANs. But when you define it, so ONT should change the VLAN text. So let's say you have a VLAN 10, let's say for the HSI service on the residential gateway, ONT should just translate it to, let's say, 100. And then with the OLT, we are using double text. This is for just the standardization of the HSIs and the IPTVs VLAN, yeah, all of the VLANs on the residential gateway side.
Okay, I think I kind of understood that, but what would really help is an example in the document that says, what are the VLAN tags, for example, for these different services? What is the C tag for that particular subscriber? And where is the translation happening upstream, downstream at the ONT? So something, one example would really help this particular point in the workflow.
Okay, on the workflow, we will, but if it's not clear, I can just rephrase how it works. Do you need it?
No, I think it's fine. I think just an example would help.
Okay.
I do have a question, right? So if we have the RG hanging off the ONT, again, and then you have the computer on the other side of RG, where's the PPPoE client? Is the PPPoE client on the RG, or is the PPPoE client on the PC or computers?
No, on the RG.
So all the on the LAN side, everybody sharing using. I bet. I guess your RG will support NAT, right? So
yeah.
For the high-speed internet, you was using NAT, and and your RG has the VoIP port, or so the VoIP.
Yeah, we have FXS ports on our residential gateways. So we have a physical different port for the VoIP side,
right?
And for the setup boxes and the IPTVs, we can use any other LAN port for it.
Oh, okay.
So important service, that's the logic.
And so for your VoIP services, are you using the same IP address, assigned through the PPPoE, or is a different PPPoE session will go out to? Or
different, but for the VoIP side, we are using the HCP, not PPP. PPP is only used on the HSI side, and for the other services, we are using different DHCP servers. For each service, we have our own DHCP pool.
Okay, so the DHCP. So how do you identify where the DHCP server is? So right now, Sarah, stop me if I'm asking something stupid here. I think that's why you need a different TCOM, because your different TCOM will probably associate to different VLAN. And so is that owners need to identify where the IP address of where the DHCP server is. So right now you have two different.
Actually, let me just say, the DHCP servers all have their own networks. We are using VLANs, layer 2 networks till the ONTs, right? So we are using for all services their own networks. So that's how you do it for our case.
Well, maybe that's the TR69 you got involved in that way. Okay.
For the TR69, it's a whole different thing. The TR69 just goes through. We have ACS services, servers that goes to RG and just let's say how can I say, orders what to do for the RG for each service. It just sends all of the right information and manages the residential gateway. But that's done by with the like we said, we have 4 services for each subscriber. For each residential gateway, we have mainly residential gateway management service, VoIP service, IPTV service, and HSI service. We may have some different services, but these are the main ones. So by using the home gateway management service, you can use TR69 over it, and you can just give all of the right information to RG to write on.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so I do have a couple more comments. On the next point, it says ONU, UNI, and NI port should be configured administratively to change their states. That's fine. That's how we do things in the AT&T workflow as well. Next point says FCAPS. Instead of the stuff related to 802.1x, we should be adding FCAPS for the PPPoE protocol. Now, this is a problem, right? Because let's say the SDN controller isn't actually managing PPPoE. If I understand it correctly, if you're just plainly forwarding through the data plane on the basis of plans, we won't necessarily be seeing or identifying PPPoE traffic on a per subscriber basis. So that we need to think a little bit harder about what kind of information you would like to see in terms of FCAPS. So that's one comment I wanted to make. The rest, the last point, in TT network, ONUs are not managed by IP. There's no DHCP for ONT. I don't think even in AT&T workflow we do ONU for IPs. The IP DHCP for IPs is for the RG, not for the ONU or the ONT. So ONU is always done using OMCI channels. So that's not a TT specific thing. It's generic. Okay, that's all I have right now.
Okay, so thanks for the comments.
On the last one is because some of the I believe operators are using ONTs as a layer 3 ONTs, and for our case, we are just using ONTs as bridge ONTs.
Okay.
So that's why we need to just mention that. But it's great to hear it's a generic thing.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Workflow of high level, these are the steps, common steps. I mean, ONT has been provisioned by the OSS system, ONT discovered in a bottom-up approach. Actually, Türk Telekom uses top-to-bottom, top-to-down approach for now, but we are open to continue with the bottom-up approach. And third, ONT serial number is allowed because it's already provisioned at the initial step 0. We provisioned it step 1. The actual flow generates an event to the external OSS when the ONT has been discovered. This can be an optional step for the Türk Telekom. And Türk Telekom uses the location-based authentication for the ONUs and ONTs. When OSS reprovisions to ONT calls at the wrong location, re-enable it, uniports will be up. RG authentication will be not used for Türk Telekom for now, maybe in later phases. And after that, some of the trap flows will be installed on the OLT side for the DHCP. I suppose now it only supports C VLAN, but for the Türk Telekom case, we need S and C VLAN info for the DHCP trap flows. And the DHCP process normally start after the Apple authentication, but for Türk Telekom, it starts immediately for the VoIP IPTV management service. And options using option 16 is an optional step. VoIP and IPTV services may use option 16 in the later phases, but not necessary for now. And if the DHCP succeeded for the management IP address, residential gateway will receive user details related to the PPP authentication from the OSS via TR69, and after it will start the PPP authentication session through the external BNG.
Okay, so again, one comment over here is, like you said, there are multiple IP addresses that the RG will receive via DHCP for each of these different services. Are these public IP addresses or in the private space?
No, these are private addresses.
Okay, so there's one line over there that says add option to 82, learn public IP addresses. It shouldn't be a public IP. It's in the private.
You're correct. Yeah.
By the way, the good news is that with the latest change we did recently for IPv6, I do believe that we already support the location of multiple IPs to the RG.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so that's good, right? So it should be easier then. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed the Lucas comment.
Sorry, I said we recently made a comment to try to support IPv6. We don't fully support it, but the point is that with that change that we made in XOS, we are already able to support the allocation of multiple IPs to NRG.
Okay.
So that's one less step to do.
Okay. Yeah. Are there any comments?
Mesut? Yeah, this is Björn. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, Björn, I can hear you.
Okay, in clause 3, you mentioned that you will disable an ONT if the location of the ONT is not the same as it is pre-provisioned in the OSS. That means, or as far as I understand this, you can only detect the different location if it comes up on a different PON port. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct according to current implementation.
Excuse me, I missed that.
Yeah, Bjorn, I heard you. Maybe Cemil and Serhat maybe can answer this question.
Actually, you are both right, and I can just add something. With the option 82, you know, we have some, we can just add some free text options. So that's how we can manage to go to not just but to ports, but to the ONTs, and even on the like served residential gateways. That's one. And basically for right now, I believe you're correct. We can just only differentiate on the comports.
Okay, thanks.
But I'm not sure. Serhat is with me, so let me just ask him as well. With the BNG CLID.
So beyond, were you looking for something more than on port location? Were you looking for like a splitter port location, or exactly?
We have some internal discussion about how detailed we have to know the location of the ONT. Yeah, but of course it's pretty difficult to handle it from the PON protocol perspective. You have to handle it on some other process.
You have some other parameters as well, as you know, with the user and username and password on the ACS side.
We don't think it's just a location ID. We can use it. Yeah, it's a free text area for us. We can set that, for example, customer ID, customer username, subscriber name, something like that. We can use it for a identifier. If someone comes and want to take an IP address, ONU or OLT, I think OLT in here, OLT, this option 6, option 82 free text area and sent to DSP server.
Sorry guys, I kind of missed the discussion. So we were saying that if an ONU ONT comes up on another PON port, we should block that ONT. Is that correct?
For our case, yeah, it's like that.
Okay, so and this is another good thing because we have a whitelist that we already use in the AT&T workflow, which I believe it can be reused for this. Now, on the point of Bjorn, I talked also to Paul from DT, and last time the concern was the opposite. Was saying that it may be hard to manage this at PON port level. It was maybe more convenient to put it on OLT level, to say just, you know, to make it simpler to manage, to say an ONT should come up on a certain OLT, and that was enough. So I'm not sure if Bjorn was referring to that or to something else, but
yeah, and in general, my question was only related to how it is handled here. So we have some internal discussion, and we will came up with our workflow a little bit later, and then we will describe our solution. I just want to learn how it is realized in that workflow here.
okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so like Luca was trying to point out that, you know, we can handle different workflows with small differences quite easily. So if DG decides to do it on the OLT level instead of the on-port level, that would be just fine. Okay, so please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Actually, I won't cover this part because, as we told, these are the same workflows here, OLT and you bring up workflows.
That's right. These are just details of the high level. Now, I did notice that you want to configure the GEM port ID for a subscriber. So if you scroll down a little bit, it says which is different from what we have in the AT&T workflow, right? In the add subscriber, if you see add subscriber.
Add subscriber. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It says is provision from OSS. Most of those things are probably fine. It's the GEM ID, which is not something that NEM or ONOS actually deals with. GEMs are sort of predetermined inside Volta for the future based on technology profiles. Is there a need for the top-down provisioning of a subscriber to include GEM port IDs?
Maybe Serhat, you can take this.
Sorry, we are also discussing internally, so we just. Actually, this is the case. So for our integration right now, we are using this as a feature. So we are using this GEM ID, and we are just provisioning all of the services, all of the subscribers with GEM IDs. So it is a need. But we were just discussing, is it a must internally? So I believe it's a nice thing to have for us because I can't just figure it out how can we just handle all of the services some other way.
Right. So what if I mean, consider this as an option. What if NEM reports the GEM ID that is actually provisioned by Volta for a particular service or a particular subscriber, but at least top-down subscriber provisioning does not require the GEM port to be provisioned top-down, but it gets the information from NEM because NEM will ask Volta and get the information from Volta when that subscriber is provisioned with that particular service. So we will report that information to you, just not require you to provision it top-down, because that sort of breaks some of the ways that we are thinking about technology profiles, how that information is put into Volta.
I think it makes sense, but the thing that I can't figure it out is then how can you just because the GEM IDs are a limited resource, and you will be using and incrementing just one by one, right? And you need to be using the released ones as well. So how can you just do it by that? I just don't know. Maybe just you can just enlighten us, but I can't just be sure about that one, that part.
Okay, so yeah, so it's a good topic for discussion. I wish Sean Misset was online. I don't see him, but we can circle back with him and try and figure out something that will work for both you and us.
Is Don Newton on the call? I mean, for the abstract OLT, that GEM ID is there a parameter field to northbound supplying the GEM ID?
So I don't see Don on the call, and
Don's on the call, but
hey, Don.
But I don't have an AdTran OLT.
No, this is it applies to all the OLT, right? So this is for Turk Telecom. So
I don't think
okay.
we represent anything northbound with a gem ID. I know that there's an ONU ID that's a number
Right.
that isn't the same that the OLT hands out, but we increment to keep track of it. But I don't think it gets down to the gem level. I think the gem level is sorted out between the OLT and the ONU and is kept
Correct.
private to there and moves around depending on reboot order and things like that. But we don't try to keep that sticking with a particular subscriber.
Or particular gem port, a pump port, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Hi there. This is Chip. I just finished working on some of the device profiles on the Adtran, which is similar to what they have on the Edge Core, and the gem ID is taken from that device configuration profile. It's a field that's initialized, either through a REST or on power up. So gem ID is selected by the OLT.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I think this might be a good place to kind of explain or remind ourselves that the IDs that traditional OLT systems or provisioning systems present to northbound may not be the same IDs used internally to keep track of actual PON resources. ONU IDs,
almost guaranteed they're not.
Right, but I mean, again, a lot of times these systems present them as if they are, ONU ID 1 is your port, your user, you stay that way forever, when in reality there's a mapping that goes on that says, well, today you're on PON 0 and you are going to get ONU ID 1, but if you reboot and somebody else reboots, they may swap. Northbound, we're going to keep track of you with the same ID, but internally, the OLT says who you really are and more or less, I don't want to say hides it, but keeps that complexity from confusing northbound systems.
Right, but I mean, so abstract OLT's job is to turn that ONU ID that the system assigns, that the northbound systems assign, and turn that into an SNC tag.
Right.
That both the SEBA itself can handle.
Right.
We don't care about any ID below us.
It's transparent. Yeah, it's transparent. Okay, I think maybe the Turk Telecom should, explore how they're going to use this gem ID and then why they want to keep it nailed down to the subscriber level, right? So or subscriber service level. And like Ralph said, Sean said, can provide some input also. But I think, yeah, the gem ID, as far as I know right now, is assigned by the OLT adapter, right? So
Sean, actually, let me just explain something. We are using multiple vendors, as you know. So some of them using it GemID for our OSS sites. We are using GemIDs, and for some we don't. But what I've seen is actually with the GemID, it makes much more sense because it's much more clear for the operator. You can see every single part of the service that you defined. So that's why we want this part. We have already, like I said, some systems that don't use, that some vendor systems don't use and don't show us the GemIDs. You just implement it by their own way. But this also comes with another question. So with the upcoming, how can I say, manufacturers, or is it just for the software side? I don't know. But are we supposed to be ready for both? Or we won't be using any GemIDs with the new system with the SEBA and all SEBA compatible devices. I don't have that answer right now. But what can I say is we are using both of the systems in our OSS systems. So I think we can use it by like that. So here comes the first question again. I don't know, is it a need or is it a must? So we need to maybe discuss that part, and we'll just let you know, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. One question I had is this Google Doc, is it, I don't see it on our, on the SEBA folder that we have the AT&T workflow as well. Is this something we can make public by putting it on the, in the same place as the AT&T workflow?
Yeah, no problem, we can.
Okay, Saurabh, after the modifications, after I complete my modifications, I can share on this SEBA directory.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe I can add here that actually NAS port ID is and circuit ID not used in Türk Telekom, but one of these fields can be used in the options 82 message. It is not used in our workflow.
Okay, so the DHCP-L2 Relay app, its primary purpose is to add this option 82. So it would also help if you can decide if for a certain service you want option 82 and for other services you don't want option 82. It'll be clear, it'll be good if you can list that out. Because we will have to find a way to make that configurable. That, okay, if you see, I'm not even sure how the RG will get multiple IPs through DHCP, but somehow we have to figure out that for some of the services, we need to add the option 82, and for some other services, we don't add option 82. Whereas, so is the RG going to use different MAC addresses? Is that for the different services? Is that how we identify a particular service and then decide that we add option 82 or not?
That also depends on the RG model. Some RG is just creating new MAC addresses, virtual MAC addresses for every service, but some don't.
Right. So
then we have both of them on field.
So this can be a problem, right? Because either we add option 82 to all of them, or we don't add them to anyone. But if we have to choose certain DHCP transactions to have 82 and certain to not have, then we have to know of a way to differentiate between those transactions. So that's another point I wanted to make. And IPTV service, is this a multicast IP? Is this multicast IP or is it still unicast?
From the IP, yeah, with the IPTV service, we have both VOD and IPTV multicast. For the basic channels, we are using just multicast, and for the VOD, we are using unicast.
Okay, so basically, you need multicast as well. And so, you know, the IGMP processing and the multicast service that we.
Yeah, that's crucial for us actually.
Okay.
Maybe for the option 2, I can't say that, but like that, but with the multicast, it's a must that we immediately need to have.
Okay. So in the workflow details, instead of 802.1x, for example, we should add some details of how you expect the multicast service to work, because that would mean we would need to use a different set of applications that run on the SDN controller to control this multicast service. For example, IGMP is one. The app that actually programs multicast flows is another. You need to figure out whether you want to use PIM signaling or not. So some details in the workflow detail section about how multicast is used or expected to work, that would help. And just for clarification, is this just V4 multicast, or do you expect to use V6 as well?
No, for V4.
Before, okay. So also for unicast, everything is
before.
Is before, right?
Yeah. We can say it like that. For now, we are using just V4.
And Saurabh,
yeah, go ahead.
Saurabh, the IPTV multicast right now is required for AT&T and Turk Telecom and Deutsche Telekom. So it is a topic we need to go through. We have a tentative, discussion topic to talk about during the VOTA weekly calls, but we have not determined a date. But again, so the one thing I think Radisys and Atran and then Sienna have gone through the POC with the IPTV multicast during the POC activity we had last year. So my plan was maybe invite them to do some presentation regarding how the IPTV multicast has done as a first example, and then trigger further up discussion. Again, that was very AT&T specific. So Saurabh, do you want that discussion under the SEBA discussion, or to be discussed under the VOTA, the weekly call?
Yeah, I think a SEBA call, the discussion of multicast on SEBA call would be fine.
Okay.
Okay, so we're almost at the top of the hour. Any other feedback for Turk Telecom on this workflow?
Yeah, actually, we almost approach to end. We don't have RG authentication as explained before. DHCP packets are STAG and CTAG. Going to the ONOS DHCP relay app, we need this feature. I don't know whether now DHCP relay app support this or not. This is the one minor differentiation.
What's the differentiation? Sorry.
I think now the DHCP packets are only CTAG when goes to the ONOS DHCP relay app.
There's some confusion because there's it's still asymmetric what the app does, but I mean.
Yeah, I mean it's CTAG going from the ONU side.
Yeah.
When it comes from the server side, it's double tag.
Okay. For the suspend subscriber, in our workflow, we only suspend the service of the subscriber based on the VLAN and gem ID. And Uniport can't be disabled since subscriber can have different services. I think this is different from the AT&T workflow, as I remember.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And for the subscriber removal, we only remove the service of the subscriber and not the subscriber. TCONT, Gemport, STAG, and CTAG configuration should be removed, but it should be port should be active. I mean, and for the ONU removal, there is only one thing that Uniport should be return to the initial state. I mean, if it is disabled at the initial state, it should return to the disabled again at the only removal step. And for the OSS system, we need a different API set for the only replace function. I can say this differentiation.
Can you just clarify this last point?
Sorry, I couldn't catch you.
So you replaced, here is where you have to replace an ONU, right? Something went wrong with your ONU and you have to replace it.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to expose another API from each OS to do this atomically, you say?
Yes. Yes.
But
So let's say you take out an ONU, you need to add it in the waiting list and the whitelist, and then you need to change it in the subscriber.
Right, so they want to say that from the OSS, they want to do this in a unique code, right? They want to say, I disconnected one, I put the other, so XOS, remove the old serial, add the new serial.
So here I think if there are some special calls that the OSS needs to do, we should go down the same way that AT&T went down, to have a man in the middle that for AT&T is the abstract quality, for Tor Telecom can be something else that translate between the two, because we cannot provide specific API for every OSS out in the world.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, anyway, I guess I arrived to this point. I mean, this is one of the final things we should look at after many others, right? But
Okay.
not saying it's a detail, but compared to other stuff, yeah, could be considered kind of a detail. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think once we get to this point, we will have a deeper discussion to understand how to do that.
Okay, this is all from our side. I don't know, Cemil or Serhat, do you have any comments or questions to do or anything?
I think it's okay, and thank you for the slot for Turk Telecom.
Well, thank you guys for going through all of this. I think it was very, very useful. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And when you do get the document ready, let me know and I can post it to the agenda doc so people can find it.
Okay, Jack.
Alrighty, thank you. It's top of the hour, so I'm going to end the recording. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to us.